Welcome, everyone, to the Pro Baseball Central podcast. This is Joe McDonald with you for the next few minutes, and we'll be discussing the New York Mets today when we go with a number of changes as the GM meeting's going on out there in California right now. And Brodie-van-Wagenen, the new Mets GM, is getting his first test at running a ball club. Well, there's a lot of changes yesterday on the coaching staff. Bullpen coach Ricky Bowness was reassigned to the organization. Pat Rosler, who was the hitting coach last year after being assistant for a number of years, he was let go. They moved around some places with also Ruben Amaro Jr. being reassigned into the front office, and he's going to be advising Van Wagenen. And we're also going to be seeing Glenn Sherlock moving to first base and Gary DiSarcina, who was the bench coach, moving to third base. So a number of changes going on, and it looks like the Mets are going to be going out and getting an experienced manager, which they should have last year, to be the bench coach, so they could advise Mickey Callaway. Since we saw last year, there was a number of situations where he looked overmatched, and if he had a reliable bench coach, he would have been able to take care of it. And the best managers do that. Joe Torre had Don Zimmer on there for years. Joe Torre was never a very good in-game manager, but Don Zimmer was. So they complement each other. And Sandy Alderson, who sometimes thought he was smarter than everybody else, decided not to go that route, even though at Callaway's press conference last year, I asked him that question, and he said, I don't think that's necessary, even though it would make sense, but it's not really that necessary. Well, we learned in last year that it actually probably is necessary. And sometimes the obvious route is the best route, and sometimes it's not important to be smarter than everybody else. So now the Mets also going to be looking at making a number of free agent signings. The biggest thing will be in the bullpen. There is a number of free agents available. I doubt severely, nor do I think I really want to see the Mets sign Craig Kimbrell from the Red Sox. I would rather see them go after an Andrew Miller, who is very versatile in the bullpen, and that would actually give them a little bit more versatility in terms of guys coming in different innings. Then I also like to see them sign a closer, either Adam Ottavino, who is actually from the New York area, I believe, or Zach-Britton, who was with the Yankees at the end of last year after being very good with the Orioles for a few years. So those are very good examples. And the Mets should really sign two of these guys. You get two of these guys with Robert Gesellman. Hopefully Swarzak has a little bit of a rebound year, and Seth Lugo. Then you got a makings of a very good and deep bullpen. Another guy out there would be David Robertson from the Yankees. He could also be in the mix for the bullpen as well. And if the Mets are going to be spending, this is where they need to spend. Okay, they can go out and go on the cheap elsewhere, but you really need to spend in the bullpen. This is where the money is going to be going. This is where we saw free agency last year, guys signing right at the winter meetings, the bullpen guys. This is what teams are going to be going out and spending up on, not the slugging outfielders. However, they probably will need a slugging outfielder, a right-handed power hitter. And let me present one name to you that might be would be a free agent and available, and somebody they may consider if they were interested in the past would be Andrew-McCutchen. He might be able to get on a shorter-term contract since he is in his mid-30s, and he may be able, he can play all three outfield positions. He's a right-handed power hitter, which is something the Mets desperately need until Yoenis Cespedes comes back. He would be actually probably, in my opinion, a good fit. Catching options, people are mentioning Wilson Ramos as a possible catching option, trading for JT Realmuto for the Marlins, but I think that's going to cost them somebody like a Peter Alonso and maybe another prospect if you're going to make that trade. And also, I would look at Jonathan-Lucroy, who moved over to the A's last year. The A's pitching staff became a very strong pitching staff last year, and I don't think there is any reason why. There is a correlation probably between that. A guy who knows how to handle pitchers, was in the National League for a number of years, and actually can probably hit a little bit. This is a guy you may want to consider signing. So that's where I'm going to be looking at if I was going to be brodie-van-wagenen. Obviously, other names may come up in trade talks and discussions and everything else, but Lucroy could be rather inexpensive in terms of a contract, in terms of a size of a contract. So with McCutchen, so you're not actually breaking the bank there, and then you go and spend your big dollars on your bullpen, because if you have a strong bullpen, and we saw this last year, there were so many times the bullpen failed the Mets and failed the starting pitchers. If you pretty much cut it in half, they probably would have been in contention. So that's the biggest difference I think the Mets should look at this year, is make sure the bullpen is pass on the carbohydrates and go with the proteins here, and go and get the best bullpen possible. And that's my opinion. So this is the Pro Baseball Central podcast. This is Joe McDonald, and we'll be back and forth throughout the year, throughout the off season, and we'll probably have Howie Carpet and Rich Mancuso and a few others also on to discuss different moves. If you are a listener on New York Sports Day, we appreciate it. You can download also the podcast through iTunes, Google, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And also, we will be on the Alexa, Amazon Echo, by just asking for the Pro Baseball Central podcast. And I think that would actually work extremely well to do any format you want to listen to our podcast. So until next time, this is Joe McDonald signing off on Pro Baseball Central, and we will be back soon with a new with the next podcast coming very shortly, probably either this week or next week. Take care.